Hi, I'm Phileas Steyn and I'm the Safari Expert, and this week I'm at Khoka Moya, which is part of Honeyguide Tented Safari Camps here in the Manyeleti Game Reserve. Now, I know some of you would have clicked through from my main Manyeleti video, but if you haven't checked that out yet, make sure you follow this link at the end of the video, and that's just going to give you a better idea of what you can expect from the greater reserve. Now, if you're new to the channel, I leave any important links and information in the description below, including how to make your booking for Khoka Moya, as well as any other relevant videos. I'm going to show you exactly what you can expect from camp, and of course I'll share all our amazing sightings with you as well. And make sure you watch to the very end, because there's a lion sighting that you're not going to want to miss. Khoka Moya is the northernmost camp in the Manyeleti Game Reserve, and it's the perfect blend of luxury and wilderness, with 15 safari tents that are not only extremely comfortable and spacious, but that have stunning bathrooms and beautiful views over the surrounding bushveld. I love the fact that it's unfenced, which means your afternoon nap could be interrupted by a hungry elephant right outside your tent. But luckily there are always rangers on duty to walk down with you to the communal dining room and back to your tent after game drives. Speaking of which, I was lucky enough to have my own guide, Anton, and on our first afternoon game drive we decided to follow some of the other vehicles and head north into some of the largest natural open plains in the Leopard. Anton explained to me that the high clay content in the underlying soil limits tree growth in this area, and it quickly became clear why it's such a good area to start game viewing, because the plains were teeming with game. We saw zebras, a family of ostriches, a black-shouldered kite that had just killed something, and a number of very relaxed elephant bulls. From there we headed even further north to a place Anton assured me is very special. How's that for a Sundowners? We've got a herd of buffalo, a pod of hippos, and that's what I love so much about staying at Honeyguide, is you're so far north in the reserve that you can reach this beautiful spot, the Skybed dam, that's quite far away from some of the other camps, and definitely one of the best places to have your Sundowners in the whole Manyeleti. On the way back to Kokomoya, we bumped into arguably the most relaxed African wildcat I'd ever seen in my life. And back at camp, everyone congregated around the camp's own watering hole to share some stories before sitting down for a scrumptious meal, which I have to admit is just as good as the game viewing here at Kokomoya. I just love the sense of anticipation when I wake up in the bush, and that first cup of coffee in camp before heading to the vehicle for the morning game drive. While everyone else went to search for lions, Anton and I headed to some of the densest areas in the Manyeleti to look for leopards along sandy drainage lines and larger dry riverbeds lined with gigantic sycamore figs, jackalberries and leadwood trees. At some stage we heard some vervet monkey alarm calls, which suggested that a leopard might be close by. And then, around the corner, we found a small family of spotted hyenas with a half-eaten impala carcass that they had stashed in a muddy pool of water. Chances are good that they had stolen it from a leopard earlier that morning, so our hunch was right to search in that area. In the end, we gave up the search and headed back to camp, where I had a hearty breakfast, followed by a swim, and then a siesta on my deck. I actually love nothing more than closing my eyes and listening to the birdsong in camp, dozing off to the sound of starlings, babblers, and francolins. Before I knew it, it was time for lunch again, which consisted of a wonderful selection of fresh vegetables, crispy potato wedges and sticky ribs, as well as a delicious salad that just so happened to have all my favorite ingredients in it. If you're not careful, you might just eat yourself into a coma here at Kokomoya. And as soon as the temperature started dropping, it was time for our afternoon game drive. Not long after Anton and I had left camp, things got interesting. So out on afternoon drive, and we've just found some very, very fresh male leopard tracks in the road. It's kind of a windy 2-track road, but I think it's not far ahead of us, so fingers crossed we're going to find it soon, especially after all this morning's hard work. Over the next hour or so, we drove up and down the road on which we had found the tracks, which, as it turns out, looks slightly larger in the soft sand. And then, all of a sudden, we got rewarded for all the hard work we had put in earlier that day. I can't believe we found her. That was a lot of tracking, but yeah, luck was on our side this afternoon. It looks like it's a beautiful adult female. Wow. She was on the move in a thicket, and initially, it was very hard to keep up with her, let alone get good video footage of her. But then, as she got used to our presence, she finally settled down to groom herself. Only then did we notice her striking blue-green eyes. Oh wow, what a day. This is one I'm going to remember for a very, very long time. Early this morning, Anton and I set out, and our goal was to find leopard. So we drove all the best roads we could, where we would be along drainage lines and even a big riverbed where there's lots of big trees, the perfect leopard habitat. But we just couldn't find one. We heard some vervet monkey calls at some stage, some alarm calls, and we even found those hyenas in that small pool of water where they had stashed what looked like a carcass that had been fed on by a leopard before. But yeah, no luck. And then this afternoon we thought, you know what, let's rather go and look for something else. But then what do we find? Fresh leopard tracks very early on in the drive. So we followed the tracks off the main road, and they went onto a smaller 2-track, and they were super, super fresh. So we thought, you know what, we're going to commit. And then we would lose the tracks, find them again, lose the tracks, find them again. And then we saw a troop of baboons and a herd of impala, but nothing was giving alarm calls. So we thought we had missed our opportunity, but we probably tracked for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, I would think. And then suddenly, just before we gave up, as we started driving back from where we had first found the tracks, she was in the road, walking straight towards us. And then she kind of moved off the road into the thickets, and we were able to get these beautiful, beautiful kind of walk-bys where the female walked almost straight towards us. And she was just, yeah, one of the most beautiful young females I had ever seen in my life. Beautiful blue, striking blue eyes, and yeah, absolute Khoka Moya magic here in the Manyeleti. You've got to come and visit. We were woken up by roaring lions the following morning and bumped into 3 males and 2 females shortly after we had left camp. While everyone else stayed with the males, we decided to follow one of the females who Anton suspected had cubs nearby. She headed straight for a tamboti thicket where she stopped. We've got one of the Mbiri lionesses here, and we've been following her for a while, and she's now come to a standstill here next to a little drainage line, and she's calling her cubs. Fingers crossed they're going to come out. As she disappeared into the dense vegetation, I thought our amazing luck had finally run out. But when she reappeared on the other side, still calling, I knew that something special was about to happen. They obviously hadn't seen her for a while and were starving, so they quickly latched onto her swollen teats. Only once their bellies started to fill did they jump away for some love from mom. But before you knew it, they were back fighting for the best drinking spot.
Jacob. Yes, let's keep going.
When she finally got up to move the cubs out of the sun, we headed north to one of the most iconic spots in the Manyeleti, a rocky outcrop on the border of the Kruger National Park with a view to die for. And the perfect place to end 2 magical days at Honeyguide's Khoka Moya Camp. Cheers, man.
Good, man.
What a morning.
What a morning.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and please feel free to ask any questions you might have about Khoka Moya or the Manyeleti in the comments below. Also remember to check out the description for any important links and information.